Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United at the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast and we are in association with Lucky Star Gin as usual. I'm your host Mike, and on the panel today we have got Andy, Rory, and Toby.
Hello.
And Toby's going to chuck his tenner's worth. He's got his Sutton shirt on. He's going to football in a bit, but we'll get some information from him. We're going to be covering the match that did actually go ahead, despite all my expectations of it not, and a great 0-0 draw. I think we've kind of all agreed it might not have seemed so great to the 30 odd there, and well done to everyone. But in hindsight, I think you mentioned earlier, Rory, it looks good. And we're going to look forward to Altrincham on Saturday. Seems the players are all have gone up, come down, going up. Who knows where they're staying at the moment. We love hearing from you. Do join in the conversations. Give us the likes, retweets, shares, all the other bits and pieces. I really, really do enjoy it, and it does help other people suffer as well. So, Andy, thank you for approaching me on Saturday going, do you need anyone? I went, yes, on Tuesday. How have you been?
I've been very well, thank you. How have you been?
I've been very good, thank you. Always very good, me.
Good.
And Rory, been a little while. We've had a couple hit misses for you, but how have you been?
We have, yeah, all good. Thanks, Mike. Yeah.
Excellent. And Toby, first time on. How are you?
All right, thanks.
Good. So the knowing me, knowing you question.
Knowing me, knowing you. There is nothing we can do. Knowing me, knowing you.
I think I can't remember. I didn't write this bit down. It was, what opponent do you most dislike or hate? I can't remember how I worded it, but which opponent is your least favourite?
Your least favourite opponent and why?
Yeah. So, Andy, which is your least favourite opponent and why?
There were two contenders for this, and one on logic kind of took the winnings place. But the second worst is Boreham Wood, because they have no fans. The location has this bizarre microclimate, where one game, for example, I think about 15 years ago, we got off at the station. It was raining, and if you know Boreham Wood, you've got one end of the high street is the station, the other end is the ground. By the time we'd got from the station to the ground, it was heavy snow, and the game was called off at 7:40 on a 7:45 kickoff. Another game we had there where it was there was like fog at the game, but only in certain patches on the pitch. Very strange.
The travel to and from there is. It was just always travel problems.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah. But it's kind of like I don't dislike them quite as much as my number one, because we do actually sometimes win there. My number one, I think, is Eastleigh. It's a soulless ground with some quite nasty supporters. We never win there. It's just even just going there is a depressing experience. Yeah. Kind of like a village team that really ended up by accident in the conference because they had a lot of money from an insurance guy who decided to then try and invest in Sunderland. And that didn't really work out for him either. So he went back to Eastleigh. So for me, they're kind of a team that really, are they still there? So luckily, I mean, through circumstances beyond my control, I actually missed the away game there this season, and I wasn't that upset.
No.
So yes, Eastleigh's the one for me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Rory, who's your least favourite and why?
I think probably two. Probably Bromley. I've never liked going to Bromley. I don't know, just because I don't like Bromley as a place particularly, and it wasn't a great ground, and I don't really remember us winning there very much. So Bromley would be one, and then probably Kingstonian would be another. Of terrible memories about. I think I was on holiday when I was 14 or 15 or something, and I came all the way back from Norfolk to watch us in the second leg in the FA Trophy semi-final, where I think we drew the first leg 0-0, and then we got battered 5-6. Yeah. God, and I've wanted going to Kingstonian ever since. I know they're pretty rubbish now, but yeah, Bromley and Kingstonian for me.
Fair enough. And Toby, do you have a most disliked opponent?
Probably
Or not yet?
Bradford.
Bradford. Fair enough.
It's quite a big ground and the supporters are a bit. And
They had a drum, didn't they?
That's really annoying.
We've
And
got a drum now.
That's true, yeah. Their drum was annoying. Our drum was good.
and we don't really win there much. No offense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let us know your thoughts. Everyone except Jenny. You don't really need to tell me you don't like Swindon, Jenny. Everybody knows that. Give us your thoughts and let us know which is the club you most actively dislike and why. Or opponents, actually, not just club. So, Rory, what did you think of the lineup? Few changes. Obviously, we're trying to keep the squad fresh. Some of it may have been forced upon us. But what did you think of the lineup and what was your expectations of the game yesterday?
I think I was quite optimistic, having won 4 out of 5. They'd lost the last 4, I think. So I was reasonably optimistic. I thought the lineup looked good. I think a little bit disappointed that Will Davis obviously had a knock and wasn't there. I think we probably missed him up front, I'd say. I know Toby was disappointed that De Silva wasn't on. But overall, yeah, I thought it looked like a good lineup. Obviously disappointed about Josh as well, not being on. But it looked a pretty attacking kind of lineup as well, wing backs and all that. So yeah, I was reasonably optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, Will is possibly having that little moment where we had with Omar a couple of seasons ago where everyone kind of gets on his back. He's not doing this, he's not doing that. And then he's out for a game or two and everyone suddenly realises, hang on, this is what he does. It's okay, right. That's why we need him in the side. But Toby, what did you think of? I know De Silva wasn't in the team, but what did you think of the lineup and what were your hopes for the game?
I think Nana did all right when he came on, but I felt like, no offense, what was it? Who was up front that missed in the first half?
Oh, Nadesan, yeah.
No offense, I didn't think Nadesan was that good.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it was all right. Simba did well. Apart from that, I don't know.
Yeah, good to have him back.
I look forward to telling Nadders in a couple of weeks that you said that.
Oh, really?
Andy, what was your expectations going into the match and what did you kind of think of the lineup?
Well, the expectation for me, it was kind of like, are we going to do what we did on Saturday and switch off for 20 minutes and allow them to score 3 goals? But I was less worried about that, bearing in mind all of the games before that. I think that was just more of an aberration. So I thought, yeah, we can keep it tight at the back here. And it really depends on, how we go forward. Yeah, we've probably not got the strongest strike force at the moment. And Halifax are very good at defending. So, yeah, I was like, well, maybe we could nick this 1-0, but I can't see us getting tonked. In terms of the lineup, yeah, it looks absolutely fine. To be totally honest with you, I'm still getting used to all the new names. I ain't young anymore, and I ain't as agile in the brain. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, he's playing. Yeah, fine. Yeah, fine. Yeah. So I didn't really take a huge amount of notice of the lineup, but I just thought with this team, we don't necessarily. It's sometimes you have teams who you will pick a certain side to face a certain opponent, and we don't have that. What we have is we have a way of playing certain opponents slightly differently, depending on the opponent. But it's more of a case of players adjust to that way of playing rather than the formation or the lineup adjusting to the players. It's that sort of mentality. So a lot of them are quite interchangeable. So the lineup itself is not like maybe so and so should be playing instead of so and so. It's kind of like, yeah, it'll work.
I said that a few weeks ago when you're looking at the bench and you're thinking there's a case for every single one of those players starting, let alone being in the squad. So yeah, we're in a really good place. But you mentioned just defensive, Andy, because obviously the cup game doesn't matter in the cup. You want exciting, big scoring matches that draws people in. I'm not accepting we defend. It was a part of a propaganda. It was. But what do you think about this sort of stinginess? Well, someone said it to me of our defence. All of a sudden, it was just we've said they're making mistakes.
I've been harping on about our defence because people are saying, "Oh, we need just 20 a season goal scorer." Blah blah blah. I'm saying our goal scoring isn't really a problem; it's our defence that's a problem. There are so many points we have dropped because we couldn't hold on to a lead. Forest Green at home earlier this season, Rochdale away, York at home. All of these, we should have come away with more than we did get, and that was because our defence switched off. And then there were other games like Dagenham away, particularly where our defence was just completely absent. It was like they might as well have not turned up. So it's kind of like, well, yeah, defence for me is the thing that really needs the attention. And it's pretty obvious that it's got that attention. Mm-hmm. Steve probably sees, this is a problem. And as a result, we've just gone completely the other way and just been utterly frugal. I think I mentioned on the forum earlier, I think before this kind of little run started, Braintree, we were, I think, 17th or 18th in the defence table from best to worst. We've now gone up to 10th. Mm-hmm. So we've made huge improvements. And it doesn't matter if we're not scoring 4, 5, 6 goals at the other end. It's about keeping that clean sheet, because without a clean sheet, you're not going to get anything. So, I think they've obviously, it's pretty obvious on the pitch they've really, really worked at that. And as a result, you're seeing some of our defenders really starting to come into their own. And Steve's point about these players don't have a ceiling, or the team doesn't have a ceiling. I think when you look at players like Charlie Waller yesterday, who earlier in the season was, I would say he was struggling. I think he was really lacking confidence. He was superlative yesterday. Absolutely fantastic. So I think it's a case of, again, I'm going to say this probably every time we speak on the podcast this year. This team is getting better and better and better with every game.
Yeah. I mean, Rory, you were nodding along. What are you thinking about our sudden switch around? I mean, what's that now? That's in the league. That's 4 clean sheets in a row, and in that strange trophy. Suddenly, that's 5 clean sheets out of 6. We've so last 6 games we conceded 3 goals, and that was all in one game. So, what were you thinking about? What's changed for you? Is it literally the confidence, just the lack of individual mistakes?
I completely agree. And I think, and Andy made this point even before the game started last night, actually, about the defence. So kind of called it. In contrast to the last game we went to was Hartlepool away. But obviously, we were well in control first 20 minutes and then threw it away through quite poor defending second half. And it's such a contrast to last night. Last night we looked solid, we looked comfortable on the ball. I think there might be something about, I think Barbrook was immense last night. I think that kind of holding midfield, giving that kind of protection to the back 3, I think it was last night, made a real difference. So I think it's, like you say, I think it's probably growing in confidence. Playing, and seemed really kind of comfortable playing it out from the back as well, which we were saying before we joined. It's such a difference to the Matt Gray era.
Oh no, hang on. I know what you're doing. Okay.
Exactly. I can't quite get used to it when they're kind of passing it around in the penalty area. But they all seem really comfortable. And like you said before, they could fit in any kind of position. And you don't really worry now about them kind of losing the ball in their own half. They just seem a lot more comfortable. And I guess it's because of the youth as well. I think I was reading something, I think maybe the programme last night, which said us and Halifax were the youngest teams in the National League. So just as Steve said, I think, team doesn't really have a ceiling. I can keep on progressing.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely certainly one of the youngest, and it
Yeah.
I think it's the little change has been, if we let in one, it doesn't automatically mean we're going to let in another. They've just got this new sort of resilience of, okay, well,
So last season.
yeah, we screwed up now.
Yeah.
We'll move on. I mean, Toby, what did you think? What do you think defensively? If your last game was Hartlepool, where we were just kind of handing them goals, and then last night where we were just stopping everything, what do you think's the difference?
I just think I don't know. I just think we played well. We played a bit more solid, but I think we could have used a bit more of our chances, like took our chances a bit more. But apart from that, I think we did all right.
Yeah. Well, Rory, I mean, it's a point on the road, but
Yeah.
we haven't won in 2.
Look on the bright side.
Point on the road. I mean, always when you go and watch a 0-0, and you're nearer than a lot of the people that travel, but you go all that way to watch it, and there's a 0-0 to come out the other side. Possibly people feeling a little bit like, oh, last night. But in hindsight, what do you think of the point away at Halifax?
Yeah, I was told. I suppose I felt after the first half, I thought we could have taken some of those chances in the first half. So yeah, at half time, I thought second half we're going to win this, but it didn't quite work out like that. But I guess if you take a step back, I was listening to Steve's interview this morning where he was clearly delighted with a point, and I think when you take a step back, a point against a team that were 10th in the league, it's a tough place to go, a long way to go on a Tuesday night as well. A few players injured. I think I would have definitely taken a point before the game. It was just that we started really well. If we'd have kept that momentum going, it just seemed to ease off a bit in the second half for whatever reason. But yeah, definitely pleased with the point and the clean sheet, like I say.
Absolutely. You've got to stop waving my hands around. So I bashed the microphone there. Andy, what was your sort of thought of the long way to go for a point?
I for a 0-0, I really enjoyed the game. It was, I mean, the first half we were dominating. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We were playing like the home side. I think they looked a bit nervous. I mean, Naderson had that really good chance about 10 minutes in, which for some reason didn't make the highlights. I don't know who edits these things, but there's been so many really, really good highlights that they've obviously missed. I know they've only got 3 minutes, but yeah. Anyway, it's really a case of this side is just growing in confidence, and there's obviously teamwork that's working really well. They're almost knowing who they're going to pass to before they pass it sometimes. And actually, I want to paraphrase Mark Frake on the forum today. He said something absolutely spot on. I think it's like this Sutton side is the easiest on the eye that he's seen for some time, and I think that's a really, really good point. When Steve Morrison first started that first game, that 2-2 draw, Newport, was it Newport? Or was it Barrow? I can't remember.
No,
Anyway, Barrow, wasn't it?
It's Barrow, not Brazil.
Yeah. You can see the style of play just changed immediately. It was passing out from the back. It wasn't just hoofing it and hoping. And I think it's starting to come to fruition a bit more. And I thought another issue we've had this season is that we've been a bit careless with some of our passes. We've lost possession easily quite a few times. There wasn't that much of that. If anything, Halifax were probably doing that more than we were last night. So yeah, we were picking up possession where we probably shouldn't have done. But yeah, I think weirdly, I think probably from the Birmingham game onwards, Braintree was great. It was a win, but Braintree were quite a poor side. I think beyond the Birmingham game, even though we obviously didn't win, I think it gave those young players a hell of a lot more confidence. And there's going to be blips on the way. There's going to be another Rochdale away somewhere. Hopefully not on Saturday. But I think that game was quite a turning point for us. And every time I see a Sutton side, we're seeing some really, really nice football.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with what we're used to and non-league football, seeing the players go forward, turn, go back, you're like, what are you doing? Just get forward. But it is that thing of they're just looking after the ball. They're not going to lump it in if there isn't anyone to get it. So they're kind of just keeping it going backwards and pressing, and we're not used to that.
The weird thing was they didn't actually do that very much last night.
Didn't they not?
No. Normally, yeah, it's kind of play it back to the keeper, but wasn't that much of it. They were keeping the ball, but it was more keeping the ball in midfield rather than playing back.
Yeah, I think you're right. And a couple of times we kind of overplayed it a bit as well, where we could have kind of crossed it, got it in the box, kind of turned back, went back a little bit, or tried to play the nice pass. I guess that comes with a bit of experience, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think Rory kind of basically mentioned this. It was a game of two halves. It did look and sound like the first half we were all over. It's all over them. The home team, I think you said, Rory. And then the second half, we weren't so much. But I think a lot of people often forget, me included, so don't think I'm being holier, is that there's another team making adjustments and trying to win the game as well. And as you said, Andy, they're 10th, so they're not exactly. I know we're 7th, but they're not exactly a struggling side. But in the end, do you think a draw was a fair result on the match? I know obviously we want to win everything, but do you think it was a fair result? Yeah?
Yeah, I'd say
Nothing
so.
doesn't work, guys.
I think we could have took a bit more shots though. Like I thought we crossed a bit too often. I felt we could have had a couple more shots outside of the box, but apart from that, was good.
Yeah. And
I think-
Bit too
Go on, Andy.
We weren't too potent up front, but our defence really dealt with their threats quite a lot. And I think, to be honest, Jack made a couple of saves, but there wasn't anything he probably didn't really break sweat very much last night. And that wasn't just a cold temperature either, you know.
And we got Simper through another over an hour, I think it was, 70 minutes.
Yeah.
Just gonna, I mean, it's one of those that sounds really weird, Rory, that we're going, we're going to get Simper back, especially when Andy was saying earlier on, it doesn't really matter who we play because they're all interchangeable. But are you pleased to be seeing Simper coming back into this side to be an option, if not the main man?
Definitely. I thought he was quality yesterday. Some lovely little flicks and turns. I think there was a chance in the first half that he had as well, where he kind of turned a defender on the left hand side. But yeah, he's just got that quality, doesn't he? That lovely kind of touch on the ball, lovely through balls. So yeah, it's great to have him back. And I think the combination of him and Barbrook is really strong. Toby's going, you go.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I got to go to football.
Sorry, Toby. Thanks for joining us, mate. Thank you.
He's wearing his Amari Patrick shirt from last season.
So it's shrinking.
So, I mean, Andy, what do you think of the Lewis Simper question? I mean, he's
Lewis Simper is a quality player. It's quite obvious, but I don't want to say he's the best player that we've got, even though potentially he probably is. What I want to say about him is that he's the one that's adjusted to the way we play and how Steve wants us to play quicker than I think probably any other new signing. With some of the other ones, you could see it took him a while to get going, but Simper, I think, adjusted really, really well. So he's probably in that kind of like adjustment progression stage. He's probably further on than some of the other players, and as a result, he looks like he's more quality than the others. I'm not necessarily saying he is, but he is quality. If that made any sense whatsoever, I'll be surprised.
Well, are we pleased he got a little knock? Obviously, it was painful. I'm not suggesting I want our players to be in pain. But are we pleased he got a little knock kind of before the transfer window opens up? So maybe has that cooled some interest in him, I wonder.
I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't think there's a standout player who will go in the January transfer window. When we were going great guns in the National League last time, I mean, it was obvious. Ajiboy could have been picked up, Goodliff could have been picked up. There were so many players that could have been picked up. None of them were. And I think probably bearing in mind we are kind of 7th at the moment, and we may come a bit high, we may go a bit lower. I don't think teams are going to be looking at us that well, because in January they're going to be signing players who are going great guns in goal scoring. We haven't got that. They're going to be signing players who are standout defenders. We don't have a standout defender. We've got now getting a stronger defensive unit. They're going to be looking for playmakers in the midfield. We don't necessarily have that. Not even Lewis Simper. on his good day. So I think I'm quite comfortable about the transfer window at the moment. I mean, I could be proved wrong. Who knows? But yeah.
What about you, Rory? What do you think? I mean, we're a few weeks away from it, but
Yeah. I'm still getting used to the fact that we have the transfer window, even though
we don't have the transfer window. We can sign anyone at any time, but clubs up
football
the
needs
field
yeah.
come into us. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think there's anyone in danger? I mean, he's not on the odds at all. But one thing that made my heart race earlier is that Neil Harris is leaving Millwall. And I was like, whoa, we're looking for a new manager. I was like, don't you dare. But he's not even on the odds page. But do you have any of those little heart racing moments, Rory, or is it just I'm overly panicked?
Yeah. I think strength in depth, I think, is something that we have now. Like you said, Mike, kind of coming off the bench. Like any of those players could do a job. Like Civi didn't start, and I think he's been really good this season. He didn't start. Obviously got Coley and people that were out injured. I think we've got the strength in depth that if worst comes to worst and a player leaves or a couple leave, then there are people there to kind of fill those gaps. Albeit, to Andy's point, I do think if you take Simper out of the team, he's quite integral to what we're doing. And I think, I think we missed Will Davis up front last night. I think if you took someone like that out of the team, I mean, Addison, I think he's a good player, but he's not really your kind of target man, hold it up and lay it off for other people. I know we're not quite playing that style of football, but I think if you take someone like that out of the team, that's the only area I think I'd worry. But I can't really see any players leaving. I don't think. Touch wood.
Well, we've mentioned the run has kind of started with Braintree/Birmingham, and that does coincide with Mr. Keep Us on Our Toes, Jack Sims coming into the side. Steve is obviously a great keeper, great shot stopper, but something seemed to click. I know he was in the Chertsey game as well, wasn't he? But something seemed to click when Jack came into the side. What do you think he brings, Rory, to the team? I know he's very, like last night, he came bombing out a couple of times very quickly. But what do you think he brings to the team, Rory?
He was proper quick off his line a couple of times. You're right, and got clattered once, despite the home fans booing him for some reason when their player got a yellow card. So yeah, it's the least he deserved. I think he just looks really kind of sure of himself. Like you don't worry when the ball went towards him. They had a couple of shots at quite pacey shots second half, which he grabbed no problem, and he just looks quite calm and assured, and he's better distribution, I'd say, than Steve. So a couple of nice kind of throwing out the ball last night to Jackson on the right hand side, and so whereas Steve's not really equipped for that kind of game, so he looks nice and kind of assured. And I think that gives, to what we were saying earlier, gives the defence a bit of confidence as well. If they know the keeper is reliable, he's good with his feet. So yeah, it's been quality, hasn't he? He's been really good.
Part of that little unit. I'm still not sure I like the way he kind of bowls it out five-a-side style. I'm like, no, you can't do that. But Andy, what do you think he kind of brings to the side? And
a bit of confidence, and I think Steve Arnold's confidence got shot. I think, and I don't necessarily think it's his fault, because Steve Arnold was in goal when our defence basically was non-existent, and a goalkeeper can't do it all on his own. He needs, that defensive unit, goalkeeper and defence, need to work as a team. And I think what had happened every game when we were losing 3-0 or letting 4 goals or whatever, and defence were kind of missing, I think it just knocked his confidence to 6. And I don't think he necessarily is. From what I know, he's a lovely guy, but I don't necessarily think he's kind of got the kind of the bullish Dean Bazarnis sort of attitude that he can just brush it off. And you could just see near the end of his kind of like run in the first team, just some of the clangers he was making was awful. I think in terms of keeper ability, there's cigarette paper between him and Jack Sims, but I think Jack Sims has the confidence, and the confidence is because the defense, he's got more confidence in the defense in front of him. So I think potentially, if Jack Sims, when he got clattered into last night, was injured, and Steve Arnold had to come back in, I still think we'll be okay. But it's Jack's shirt to lose now. Yeah, absolutely. And he's shown no signs of doing that.
No. He's still Claire's shirt. But...
Yeah. Yeah, all right.
how were we looking? Because I know we've got a few injuries. We've had a few games recently, but one of the things with our team is the fitness, the running, the constant. I mean, Aaron made comment on the pressing numbers last night, which is interesting to bring that up in the interview. But Andy, what were you thinking? How are we looking as a squad? Do you think at this stage of the season, which is a busy time, we're still looking really, really fit and good?
I think we are. I mean, our energy levels didn't really drop significantly over the 90 minutes. Even in the last 5 minutes, the energy levels were still there. Okay, we made a couple of substitutions, but even the ones that have been on the pitch for the whole 90 minutes, yeah, I think fitness-wise, I think we're okay. But I think that's also part of Steve's job to manage that over this really busy period, because it's now it's 2 games a week now until mid to late January, I think, something like that.
I think
it might even be beyond that.
Christmas
Eve. It might even be up to the beginning of Feb. So that's going to have to be managed, because some players will burn out, particularly the younger ones who won't have that experience to say, well, actually, I just need to have the experience to change my game a little bit so I can keep those energy levels, and the repair time and all of that. Even though the repair time is going to be quicker, you can't play at that pace for 90 minutes twice a week. It's just, you can't physically do it. So, but I think it's, there was no sign of fatigue last night. Hopefully there won't be on Saturday either.
Yeah. There was a case earlier in the season where Madison didn't play the next game on a Tuesday because and Steve kind of said because he hit his top speed too often. And it was what's he talking about? But it is that thing of, okay.
Madison didn't play on Saturday, did he? He wasn't even on the...
No, he was ill.
He was ill, right. Okay.
He was ill. But it was Steve basically saying that you can't go at the 100% for too long. You have to manage it. But Rory, what were your thoughts? I mean, obviously, you're not seeing them live as much as we are, but what were your thoughts on the energy levels and the fitness levels of the team?
I completely agree with Andy. I thought they just kept going and going. I think second half, Sidhu was running back, sprinting back to defend and stuff. He must have been knackered. But they didn't look at all like they were flagging, even in the final few minutes, still kind of pressing and coming back. They looked properly up for it. I think having that young team, I know I definitely take on board what Andy says about there's a danger that they kind of run out of steam a little bit or don't know how to manage that. But I think the fact that they are quite young and hungry goes a long way. And hopefully the fact that hopefully the fact that that they're looking after themselves properly. And Steve's saying about staying in hotels and not kind of having long journeys back in the middle of the night, and thinking about all of that and the diet and everything, that all plays a part in this as well. So doing it properly will make sure they can kind of carry on. But it's a really busy period, isn't it? But we've got that big squad, and touch wood if we don't get too many injuries, and that'll help.
We had a little spell, but they all seem to be coming back, and
I do.
Haven't heard anything about Josh. I know it was painful, but I haven't heard any more about Josh. So hopefully he's just been rested. League position, I don't want to say it, but we're kind of definitely securing ourselves for a side that people have been criticising, and we've been saying, well, we're very inconsistent and we've not found our form. Suddenly we're there in the 7th, nicely in the top 10, and we're all kind of agreeing that we're still going to improve. I think I worked it out earlier, and I definitely could be corrected on this. Over the season, we've got 1.5 points per game. Last 5 games, we got 2 points per game. So league games, obviously. So where do you feel this stands us instead of the season, Rory? Do you feel we are going to be pushing on now? They're making a lie of me of doing it before Christmas, not after Christmas. But how do you feel it's kind of going to be on the season? Is this going to be a really valuable away point?
I do. Yeah, I definitely do. I think if you get, I think as Steve said in his interview, that if you get those draws away from home, win your home games, then you're in with a fighting chance, aren't you? You're averaging that kind of 2 points a game. I'm really pleased. I think where we are, given that the team's still gelling and knitting together. The fact that we are 7th, where it feels like haven't probably hit our stride yet, but you know that that's to come because they're playing such quality football. That the goals are going to come. We've secured the defence, like Andy was saying. The fact that we've done that. The fact that there's still loads to come. I think from a number of those players and players which I suppose haven't had that much game time, which are going to get even better, like Jack up front. I thought was good last night and played really well. And Nana coming off the bench and stuff. Those players can offer us something different too. So I think we're exactly where we'd like to be. Probably ahead of where I thought we might be, given the number of changes. So really pleased with how things are going.
Definitely a little bit ahead of the curve from where I thought we would be. Andy, what do you think on the sort of league position? I know promotion, everyone wants promotion and everything, but it's not the be all and end all of the season. But how do you think we're performing in the league?
I think we're probably higher than I would have expected us to be at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the kind of the accelerated would come on after Christmas. It seems to have started early, and this is the thing about leagues. Every team will go through a bad patch. The question is, have we had our bad patch, or is there another one yet to come? And we don't know that, but every team will have it, and generally, a team that wins the league will be the one that has the shortest bad patch. I've said this before, and I'll say it all season. If we finish 7th, where we currently are at the end of the season, that will be a huge achievement with the rebuilding of a squad that we've got. To be honest, I wouldn't want to go up because I think this squad, however good it is, they're not ready for League Two. So it might be a bridge too far. But again, with playoffs as well, you get into the playoff. Usually, it's the team that goes into the playoff in the best form that is the one that goes up, which is what happened to Bromley last season. So I think I'm really happy where we are, particularly after those naysayers going, "Oh, we're going to be in a relegation battle." It's like, no, we're not. We won't even be close to a relegation battle.
Double, triple, quadruple drops, all sorts of things were being said.
I mean, it's utterly bizarre. And again, if you look at the sides above us, I mean, you got the 3 richest sides in first, second, and third. Okay, that's the main reason why they're there. Gateshead have got the momentum from last season, and then you've got Oldham and Rochdale, who aren't short of a penny themselves compared to the other teams around. I think we're doing really, really well. Again, it's kind of maintaining that, and a point away from home, like last night, in a difficult place to go to get a point, great point. And if we get a point on Saturday, that will be a great point. What we need to do now is we need to translate that a little bit more with our home form, and almost make Gannett Green Lane a bit more of a fortress, and actually think, really, we don't want to accept anything apart from a win at home. Then we know we're going really, really great guns. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We've already played out of the teams above us. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4 of them at home already? So it's only Barnet and Rochdale we haven't played at home yet. York, Forest Green, Gateshead, and Oldham, and we lost to 3 out of the 4 of them. So we just have to make sure that we get the results where we need to get the results.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the more, as you say, we win at Gander Green Lane, the more we can make John Meaney out of his comfort zone and come over and do the 3 punches. Right. Before we wrap up, got to be said, Tuesday night, in a game that everyone was fully convinced that it was going to get called off at a late stage or something because of the weather. 30 people making the journey, the roads and closures and whatnot, it was just atrocious. So absolutely fair play to everyone. Andy, I know you've been sort of you were in the Barrow crowd that time. What was it?
No, I wasn't in Barrow that Tuesday night. Yeah, but generally, it's usually takes quite a lot to stop me going to a
Woodford.
game.
The Woodford.
I was on the Woodford 15. Yeah. Woodford 15. Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely fair play. And even Steve sort of acknowledged that. Wow, I was only literally expecting my son and my mother-in-law to be here. I suppose
Steve hasn't had that situation in terms of a league game being postponed, rearranged at short notice, 250 miles away. He had no idea how many diehard fans there are. But it's probably worth mentioning is it was I think Nick Williams called us the OGs last night. You know, the ones that will basically go thick and thin to these games. And the funny thing is that when you do have a situation where there's less of you, you talk more to the people that you're with, and it actually gives it much more of a kind of a family atmosphere. You end up talking to people you would never talk to at a home game, because you've got that kind of almost slight siege mentality. It's really nice.
Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of the faces that I recognised, but actually on the pitch I was looking there, I was going, actually, there's a couple that I don't necessarily recognise as the OGs from way back. A lot of kids. I know, Rory, your kids don't have much travel, but there were a few kids there as well who do have to travel all the way back. But what did you think, Rory? Were you expecting 30? I know teams sometimes mock. They go, "Oh, look at the Sutton crowd." It's like, yeah, you know what? That's quite good for us to be doing 200 odd miles, as Andy said. But were you expecting that many, Rory, or did you think it would be kind of you and your kids?
No, I don't. I think that's such a great effort from people. I feel a bit of a fraud because it's only a couple of hours for us from the northeast, but yeah, I think that's such an amazing effort for people. Someone in the toilets was saying, 600-mile round trip for a 0-0 draw, which on a Tuesday night is impressive. That is really impressive to do that. And to be fair, I mean, there was only 1,000 or so Halifax fans. So in the grand, that's 30 is pretty good out of 1,000. Yeah.
Like I said, I worked it out for just the two of you, saying I've got 6.6 of the away crowd here, but then with Toby on for a little while, so it's actually a little bit more. It's probably almost 10%. In fact, it is exactly 10%, isn't it? Free. 10% of 30 is free. Well done, Mike.
It was. I mean, looking at Halifax's crowds this season, I mean, they've only got over 2,000 twice this season. We've only got under 2,000 once. So it's kind of it's like, actually, who's the better supported team? What's Sutton it's just, I mean, that's another great thing about this season is how our crowds haven't dropped. That's really impressive.
Joe made a very valid point that a lot of our crowd are that 16, 17, coming up 18-year-olds. And he said there's, 600-700 of that age group. He goes, they're all in the next 2-3 years going to have the money to spend, and they're going to be in the bar and all the rest of it. It's like, whoa, suddenly we're going to have a load of money. And a lot of them are coming, not necessarily on a Tuesday because they do have school, but they are coming to those away games as well. So it's only going to get bigger. But let's finish up with the game quickly. We're going to do the good, the bad, and the funny. So, Rory, what was good for you last night?
I think overall performance, and I thought Finley was quality. I thought, previously looked a little bit, maybe a bit lightweight, and I know that was a criticism at the start, but I thought last night he was immense. He was getting stuck in. He was, properly on the ball. So he was a really good point for me last night.
He's got 9 yellows. You can't call him lightweight.
that was the accusation at the start. I remember when you spoke to someone about him when he was on loan. I can't remember where he was on loan. They said, "Oh, he looks lightweight, but he's not." And I think we're definitely experiencing that.
Yeah, I think he's trying to go for the Eastie role here. I think he gets one more in his hand, isn't he, for Christmas? So, Andy, what was good for you?
I'm going to go for Charlie Waller. I thought he was, not for the first time, actually, in recent weeks. I thought he was fantastic. Right place, right time, doing the job that he's supposed to be doing, which, if you compare the Charlie Waller to last night to the Charlie Waller at Dagenham, it's like a completely different person. I thought he was superb. Yeah,
I think he definitely suits the free rather than being out on the left back. I know he scored a great goal, but I think he definitely suits the free, and a few of them do as well. I think Tyler suits it as well. What was bad, Andy?
Not getting a win. There wasn't anything particularly bad. I mean, probably Naderson's miss.
We can't have to
go. I mean, he was 1-on-1 with the keeper. He should have struck that better.
We can't keep picking on him just because he missed against Birmingham, did that cross to no one in the 91st minute when we're hanging on, and now missed against Halifax. We can't just put them up like that. It's not fair. Perfect. Rory, what was bad for you?
Not a lot, I don't think. It's a nice ground. I like going to Halifax. It's a nice place. But yeah, my cup of tea kept leaking all over my trousers, so that was the bad bit.
That's outrageous. That's not
I
bad.
know.
That's absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
That's awful. Waste of tea.
Yeah.
What was funny, apart from you having wet trousers, Rory? What was funny for you?
They weren't that wet, I should say. I think the funny bit when Steve turned around, well, not that funny, I suppose, but kind of halfway through the first half, I think Steve turned around to the Sutton crowd and said, "Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there." And it did feel like that. I thought that was quite nice. So less funny, but just nice.
Yeah, no, good. We'll go with that. Andy.
I was going to say the same thing. It was like Steve
very
Morrison.
good.
He broke the fourth wall, Yeah, it just like comes over. It just literally gets out of his technical area, kind of turns around to us and goes, "Yeah, we're getting there." We didn't ask, but thanks.
He's definitely getting more comfortable. I know it's hard.
Mm.
I know he comes from a very professional background, so there's a lot to get used to at Sutton United. To be fair, it's just that kind of. I don't quite know whether he thinks people are out to somehow catch him out on something when most of us just don't care about most of these things. We just want to know how you are and what's going on. And definitely like with the players and stuff, people in Sutton are more interested in the person. Because Jacko, when he was talking about his eye, he kept going, "I'll be back soon." And I was like, "Mate, I don't care when you'll be back. I just want you to be fine and have your eyesight. Okay? We don't actually care when you're on the pitch. Obviously, we want you there, but it's more important that you're healthy." I didn't do the Free Cube preview. I didn't organise it in time with an Altrincham fan. But what do you guys think of Saturday? I know it's early. Andy, you don't do the predictions, so you can go first while Rory kind of thinks about it. But what are you expecting from Saturday, Andy? And give me a prediction anyway. Just pick some numbers out.
Okay, I'm not expecting a 0-0.
Oh.
Altrincham scored too many goals. They let in too many goals. It's for me, it's a little bit like Solihull. So I'm hopeful we're going to get at least a point from that. Bearing in mind they are literally just below us in the league. It's 7th versus 8th. I think we can get something out of this. We just got to again carry on doing the great work we're doing in defence, and I think we're in for a real shout here.
Okay, so score draw. What do you reckon? 5-5, 4-4,
6-6 all.
6-6. Excellent, lovely. Rory, how do you see the game going? And you'll be gutted if it's 7-7 now. How do you see the game going, Rory? And what do you think? And what kind of scoreline do you think? Obviously, you can change your mind on the prediction,
which I'm not doing very well at, which I didn't last year, right? But yeah, I think we're
is winning, so we're not going to talk about that very much anyway. So don't worry about it.
I think just Sandy side, I think we can build on the momentum of Tuesday. I fancy us to go there and get a result. We might nick it 1-0, I reckon. But yeah, it feels like quite a big game, doesn't it? Kind of, 7th against 8th. Does feel like quite a big one. But I'd be happy with the point. I think just like Halifax, I'd be really happy with the point. But I fancy us to go there and get all 3.
Well, I'm going to go 2-0 on the basis of they're going to be out for a little bit of revenge, and they're going to kind of attack, and we're going to exploit them on the break and get a goal, which will frustrate them, and then we'll do it again. And they'll just be like, "Right, we're not doing this game anymore," and they'll just stop playing. That's my decision, and it's final. But I'm going to wrap it up. I think done very well there, talking about a 0-0 draw for that long. It's amazing. Yeah. As always, we appreciate everyone's attention and feedback. Let us know which team you dislike the most and why. Follow, like, and share on all social medias. It's at Sutton Podcast. I'm even on Snapchat. I don't know what the hell I can do on there because there's like 4 characters you're allowed, but I'm on it. Do subscribe and like on all your preferred platforms, and the YouTube thumbs up are always a joy. And we are back on Sunday even, because doing it on Saturday would be a little bit pointless. I have Mark, Bravery, and one other. I've just put out a plea to see if anyone is able to do it, because someone has had a change of plans. So if you are around and you want to do it, let me know. But yes, thank you to our sponsors, Lucky Star Gin. Thank you to the panel of Andy, Rory, and Toby for half a debut, taken off after 45. I think that's quite good. And thank you to the listeners. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of Sutton Podcast. Take care, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.
United!